Hello and welcome to the Franchise Minute. I'm Anna Wilds, the franchise economist. Today's topic is no experience necessary. We also have a special guest with us today, Steve Repert with iFoam. Hello, Steve. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, excited to have the opportunity to jump in.
All right, fantastic. Well, Steve, start us off by telling us a little bit about you and what does iFoam do?
So my role is director of franchise development for iFoam, basically meaning I kind of take people through the educational process of getting to know them and understanding the business as they explore this business opportunity, which we're an insulation contractor. Uh,
Okay.
we do we do spray foam, fiberglass, cellulose, anything plus and minus insulation.
All right. Very interesting. Well, Steve and audience, this is what we're going to do now. We're going to watch a 60-second video called the Franchise Minute on today's topic of no experience necessary. And then Steve and I will have a question and answer session afterwards for a few minutes to help you understand why that's the case in franchising. Okay, let her roll. Welcome to the Franchise Minute. I'm Anna Wilds, the franchise economist, and today's topic is no experience necessary. As you explore franchises, you'll see this often. How come? The one-word answer is this: training. Franchises provide training, and these programs are designed for people with no industry experience. Realize that training and support is ongoing throughout the entire time someone is a franchisee. Two things matter most to franchises. The first is a person's just general understanding of business. So talents to get things done, to follow through, to talk to people effectively, these are what matter most. Secondly is someone's ability and willingness to learn. Business know-how and ability to learn, these are what tend to indicate future success as franchisees. I'm Anna Wilds, the franchise economist. Thanks for tuning in and come back next week. I work with people all the time who are exiting or want to exit the corporate world, and they spend a great deal of time about telling me the industry that they worked in. And I have to, let them pause and then explain to them that we're not limited by that when they're looking at a possible franchise to run as a business owner. Help the audience understand why that is. I briefly touched on it in the video, but can you shed some light on that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you kind of briefly mentioned it in the videos, and I think that's one of the things that's exciting about franchises is if you're with a quality franchisor, they have a quality training program that can take you, potentially some of your staff members, through the process of how to properly operate that business. I know that's one of the major things that we spend a lot of time on at iFoam.
Mm-hmm. And what I especially like is explaining it to franchise candidates this way. When you're applying for a job and you're a job candidate, well, your industry experience is very relevant. But when you're exploring franchises and you're a franchise candidate, your industry experience is not what the franchisor is interested in. I explain to them, Steve, and say they're already the expert in
Mhm.
that field. As a matter of fact, they have a franchise in that field. So, they're not looking for your expertise. So help the audience understand then. So what is a franchisor looking for in a franchise candidate if it's not industry experience?
Well, there's a couple of main things. One would certainly be the capital. Certainly it's going to
Oh,
be
sure.
your business. You're going to need to have the capital to launch your own location. I think team and people management skills, which those could come from any industry, but in your new business, you're going to have employees. You need some of that skill set to foster within your own market. And
Absolutely.
the biggest one is the desire to grow and scale a business. Which is that's where the exciting part happens.
Steve, I love that you said that in my video. I said there were two things a franchisor was looking for. It's really three. As you said, the first thing is, do you have the financial depth to get into the business? And every franchise has minimum financial qualifications based on liquidity and net worth. Do you mind sharing with the audience what iFoam requires?
Yeah, for iPhone, a benchmark net worth of 750,000 plus and a minimum liquidity of about 150K.
Right. Okay. Very good. So you have to have the financial qualifications and then the skill set. It's not your industry knowledge, but you talked about, can you manage people? Can you talk to people? Do you have a general understanding of business? My husband has a first cousin who's an artist. He has a PhD in sculpture. And he was talking to me one day about, you know, franchises. And I was explaining this, that it's not industry expertise, but, do you have business skills? And he had to ask, well, what are business skills? I kind of think, well, if you have to ask what those are, you probably don't have them.
Possibly not. Possibly not. No.
So, but that's just anybody who's basically had a job. Project management. Do you meet deadlines? Do you know how to stay within your budget? Can you talk to people? Do you get things done? Do you follow up? Those sorts of general skills and abilities and talents transfer. What business owner doesn't need that skill set, right?
I think it's essential. And that's one of the reasons why we really like kind of the home service space, because a lot of times we see a lot of fragmentation where honestly answering the phone and booking the appointment makes you a good business owner. Obviously, that's a minimum benchmark that we set out
Right.
for, but create some avenues.
Well, and another thing that I pointed out in the Franchise Minute video, Steve, was the willingness and ability to learn, and I should say, and apply what you've learned, because so many people in franchising, if they're struggling, it is almost always, in my 20 years experience, that they're not doing what they were trained to do. Have any comments on that?
There's a lot to following the process, staying committed, especially in a franchise model. I think one of the great benefits is there's a lot of other folks out there in a similar phase, or they
Right.
recently experienced a similar phase, and really stay in kind of the path. It's starting a business is an instant success, but you have a lot of resources to have success. So
Right.
communication and follow that play.
Right, absolutely. And so let's have you give the audience a little insight into the comprehensive training programs that iFoam has.
So we like to be really involved, from the timing when somebody signs a franchise agreement and commits, this is something I'm going to do. We have about a 12-week onboarding process. Now, that process involves everything from going through funding on your loan to setting up allowing time to set up the business entity, to setting up the marketing funnels, recruiting employees. For us, we have the entire team of that new franchise come out to our corporate headquarters in Omaha, and your sales manager, your general manager, and your lead installer, they're all getting hands-on training from the corporate office.
So all three of those come in addition to the owner, but then the owner may be the general manager.
Correct.
The owner hires a general manager.
We have some flexible ownership models.
Okay, so it's the owner, a GM, the lead installation technician, and the sales manager. Is that right?
Correct.
Yep. Oh, fantastic. So it's just not the owner getting trained, it's the whole team.
Success doesn't happen by accident. We want to ensure as much of it as we can.
I like to say that entrepreneurship is a team sport. You can't do it all by yourself. So, all right. So then there's 12 weeks of training to get to the classroom training, and then a team of people comes with the franchise owner. Then how long is the classroom training at your corporate headquarters in Omaha?
So there's 1 week of in-person training in Omaha. Following that, a location will have a go live date, maybe a week after. And there's follow-up processes built within there. We send our sales team to basically supervise some additional sales calls in market. We
Oh,
send
wow.
our install team after that to, again, supervise, make sure that the things everybody learned in training didn't fall out when we got back to our home area and we're launching our business. We want to make sure we don't want to have a location go off without having the proper insights, the proper tools to go out there and execute at a high level and hold up brand integrity.
So you have training, basically onboarding and pre-training for 12 weeks, then classroom training for a week with your whole team. Then there are field visits from the headquarters staff to the actual market where the franchisee is. That's amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My ops team would probably like to jump in and say that training never stops. We're constantly evolving and getting better. So that's the way they operate also.
And that's what I was going to say. So after the first 2 years, I'm sure there's a great deal of training and support to help someone launch. But then after like years 3, year 5, year 7, what about, you said you're constantly growing and evolving. So what does training or support look like in the outer years?
Well, it's always difficult to shake the crystal ball, but yet you constantly are improving. Nothing stays stagnant, whether that's the way that marketing evolves 3 years from now. Maybe we're using some different type of social media avenue that we need to market, whether there's a different product or application that we're servicing in this business. I know for one thing that we've added since the brand originally launched to now is now we have a whole nother service vertical. We do concrete lifting, which again is injecting a high density foam underneath like a driveway or a sidewalk that is settled over time.
Oh, fantastic. So is that foundation work?
Not the foundation, the actual sidewalk, the cement slab itself.
Oh, okay. Takeaway from our discussion about why experience is really not necessary to be a successful franchisee is franchisors are going to make sure you have the financial qualifications. They're looking for, general business understanding and some skills that anyone should have as a professional. And then the third thing is an eagerness to learn and then grow and scale your business. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
One thing I would like to add is, keep an open mind and not let preconceived notions get in the way of exploring a franchise opportunity. We have great franchisees that come from really all types of backgrounds. We have folks who came from medical device staffing to technology and spent most of their time in software, and here they are in an insulation business.
Wow, that is a lot of variety, and it does speak to the fact that there's not any one particular background that you need to have to be successful. So that's very good that you underscored that. Now, Steve, we are out of time. If someone wants to learn more about iFoam, what do you recommend they do?
I think really the first step is to kind of connect with you and get in kind of the right position to start exploring franchising and really understanding, because I know, throughout this process, you have a bunch of conversations with us and you get a better understanding of really who we're looking for at a more granular level. So contacting you is really kind of the first place to jump into.
Well, thanks, Steve. Yes, I'll help people find the right fit, and I know who you're looking for. So I'll certainly send the right candidate your way. All right. Well, Steve, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for explaining to the audience why experience truly is not necessary. This is Steve Repert with iFoam, a horsepower brand, and I'm Anna Wilds, the franchise economist. Thank you for joining us, audience, and come back next week where you will learn the story of a franchise founder, and it's really very interesting about why he started his business. So thank you so much. See you next week.
See y'all.